person asks another person to drive them around like this? This kind of mentality is what's...
Well, what kind of person is so insecure that they have to make somebody move into the front seat so they don't think that they're driving somebody around?
No, the kind of person that's so insecure that needs to be driven around in the back seat, subliminally telling me that you need me to drive you around.
Leave my seat, go into the front seat.
Because I asked you to sit in the front seat of my car, and it's my car, and it's my car. I make the rules, okay?
Oh, you're making the rules? Yeah, we would have already been there already.
Yes, you would have already. Very good.
Oh, you can't drive with somebody in the back seat.
Yeah, you're such a baby. You're a grown man baby.
Hi, everybody. I'm Susie Essman.
I'm Jeff Garlin.
And today we are doing Season 4, Episode 3, The Blind Date.
Yes.
And we have the blind date with us. Please welcome Moon Zappa.
Moon Zappa.
Hi, everybody.
Hello,
nice to
Moon
be with
Zappa.
you.
Happy to have you here.
Hello.
It's an honor. Moon Zappa.
And it's nice to see your face out of a burka, having just watched the episode.
By the way, Moon is I need to let the audience know because they might be critical. No, Moon is an old friend of mine who I love.
Very nice. We
There
have
you go.
never met
Thank you.
because I wasn't in any of those scenes with you. So we have never met, and it's lovely to meet you. And how did you get this part?
I think I just auditioned. I think I just came in and...
Oh, you did?
Gave it my
there's
best.
an old saying called "I plowed her through," which
Well, no, she was
no. When
she
I'm
was
in
so
the room,
good that she got it, Jeff.
No. Look, if she wasn't good, I could not push her through. The thing was, she was great, and sometimes that still doesn't work. There's so many things. But when you have somebody who's your friend in the room and you kicked ass, you got the part. It's done.
So, and did you audition in a burka, Moon?
No, but the thing is, what I remember is Jeff had said he tried a few times to bring me in to audition for a few different roles, and nothing just worked out prior to that. And so then when I went in for that role, I drove all the way from Hollywood to Santa Monica, which is like saying I left the planet to go to
Depends on the time of
another
day.
solar system. That's true. And
well, Susie,
then
you want to talk about time of day from Hollywood to Santa Monica?
Yeah.
You're good around midnight.
I live in New York. At 4 o'clock in the morning, you can't go on the Cross Bronx Expressway. Any time of day, the Cross Bronx Expressway is a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
But all right, so
nowadays you just have to treat everything like you're going to a festival and you camp out before you go anywhere. It seems.
So you drove all the way.
I drove all the way, and then I just remember that just the process of like being given a kind of a note and then improvising
By the way,
a little bit.
if I may, I don't know if I mentioned this yet, the notes that we give to actors are not the actual scenes.
Right, exactly.
There's something not even resembling the scene, just something totally different because Larry doesn't want any of the stories
He doesn't
getting
want
out.
anybody knowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's these slips of paper, where it's just this little scene that has nothing to do with what we're going to film.
And you know what's interesting to me, rewatching these episodes, because I haven't seen this episode in 19 years.
Same here.
What's interesting is once it's cast, nobody else could have done that part. I mean, yes, of course, somebody else could have done that part.
No, but she did it with a spin that was fucking beautiful.
Yeah, once you inhabit that part, it's like, nobody else. You can't even think of somebody else doing that part except for Moon playing Habus.
Well, some of my favorite things in the world are matchmaking and matchmaking gone wrong and outside of professional life. Is there anything funnier than people trying to make love happen? It happens
all the time. It happens all the time.
Yeah. It happens all the time. And then to have the fun of getting to have, whether you like a personality or don't like a personality, another personality is just a fun adventure. And then to do it as though you are from another country, which I think is riskier and riskier these days in entertainment.
And it's interesting watching this that so certain things, I don't know if they could be done today, but
Exactly.
By the way, that's true. I disagree on some levels, but in terms of content, not so much, because we're irreverent and politically incorrect. Not to be irreverent and politically incorrect. It's just the way that turns out. But certainly with Moon's part, we would have had to have hired and which I don't think is bad.
And who would have ever known?
No, but nonetheless, a Middle Eastern actress.
Yeah.
That we would have definitely had to. But that's not a bad thing.
But luckily, Moon was hired because you were just perfect. So let's start the episode. We start out with Larry vacuuming Michael's apartment. This Michael is a real fucking prima donna, isn't he?
No, but also just Larry vacuuming for this dude is funny on its own. Boom.
And Michael's
hilarious.
got his headphones on and he's listening to music. And, Larry's telling him he should get a cordless vacuum. He's like, what? He's listening to his music. And then Larry says to him, you need to get yourself a new girlfriend. He's tired of doing his errands and vacuuming. And Michael says, it's your fault that I don't have a girlfriend. Which it really isn't Larry's fault. It's Michael's fault for being so petty and superficial.
By the way, that's another thing about Larry's character. You can convince Larry in the right moment that it's his fault. I'm talking about the character.
Oh, he's always willing to take blame.
Yeah. No, not from you, but like from outsiders.
No, I don't mean me. I mean one.
No, outsiders who aren't mean. He might go. But what's also beautiful about this is when he talks to him and he criticizes him about his blindness and his expectations for a woman. Do you know what I'm saying?
He says to him,
you know what? You better get yourself a new girlfriend, all right? Because this isn't going to last that much longer.
Yeah, well, whose fault is it that I don't have a girlfriend anymore, Larry?
Hey, I did you a favor. The problem is it's hard to even fix you up. You're so particular.
I would like to be with an attractive woman, yes. What guy wouldn't?
Not only does she have to be good looking, but she's going out with a blind man.
So?
Well, she has to wait on hand and foot.
So? What matters to women is what's on the inside of a fella.
Okay, first of all, you've got nothing inside of you, okay? Let me just make that clear. You're the most superficial man I've ever met.
Be that
blind or sighted,
Be that as it may, it's just not fair that people get to see her and I don't.
So you're saying it's not fair that everybody knows what she looks like except you?
Right.
You're too picky. You're the most superficial man I've ever met, he says to him. You're the most superficial man I've ever met.
And he says, how would you know how beautiful they are?
Yeah, he wouldn't.
Yes.
And then we cut to Larry doing his lines to himself, saying, Max Bialy stock. I did summer stock in the winter, hilarious. And the thing, he's in his car and he's going through into a parking lot. And what is that called? The wooden arm comes down.
Yeah, the wooden arm.
On the front.
By the way, now that you can't remember, I can't remember what those are called.
Well, whatever. It comes down on the hood.
The thing that comes down at a parking lot.
So he goes into reverse, and he reverses through that thing that do not reverse, that tire thing, that the do not reverse will cause tire damage. Which, you always see, you wonder, is it really going to cause tire damage?
No,
yes,
it does cause tire damage.
Does.
Those spikes, are you kidding me?
Do not back up, severe tire damage. And then Ben and Christine have to pick him up. So he can't open the back door, and Ben is taking Christine to yoga, and Larry goes off on a ridiculous riff about yoga and yogurt, and are they related? And
by the way, when they do the cut and they're pulling in, he's still on the riff.
Still carrying on. It reminded me of the last episode at Ben's birthday party when he's talking to Katie Huffman in that same way, and in the first episode with Mel when he's
Brooks.
trying to pick up the beautiful girl,
yes.
and he's talking about bowling balls.
And
this is just digging holes.
But every single time, all I think of Sari Moon's. Sari's my girlfriend, and when I watch those episodes, I thought of us. Because I do that naturally, which you might know, and I thought to myself, poor Sari, to have to deal with that.
That's great,
I really
Jeff. I'm so
that.
glad that you're learning something from doing this.
By the way, I am, and Larry off camera doesn't do that, but I do. I'm the one who does that.
No, Larry is the opposite of that. He's very comfortable with silence.
Yes, as you know.
Jeff
by
is
the way,
not.
Well, no. On a conscious level, I am. On a subconscious level, no fucking way. Because obviously I act out.
So they drop Christine off at yoga. And Ben says, why don't you come sit up front? Larry's, I'm good. I'm okay. I'm good. And Ben's like, I'm not going to drive you around like I'm your chauffeur. And Larry's like, what kind of person is so insecure? And I agree with Larry on this.
By the way, I wrote that too. Larry, not wrong. Especially because it's a very short ride.
Very short. What do you think,
You just get
Moon?
going.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, what's the big fucking deal, right?
No, by the way, that's a rare occurrence of Larry being right.
I don't know. I think he's almost always right, Jeff. He's almost always right.
No, I feel that he does not have the common courtesy to just let it, like you with your shirts with all the whatchamacallits on
the
them.
bedazzled,
The bedazzled shirts. All he has to say to you is, hey, those are lovely, and then move on.
Yes.
But instead, so yes, he's right. They're bullshit shirts, but he doesn't have common courtesy.
He doesn't have common
there
courtesy.
is no courtesy.
However,
yeah.
When it comes to a moral or ethical issue, he's almost always right.
Well, that's the reason people like the show, because they can associate with and also say, I wish I could say that. Well, they could. I would have liked to have said that.
Right. Say what people think, but will not say. But
that's the magic.
So then they continue. Ben calls him a grown man baby. A little baby wants to walk. It's just like ridiculous. It devolves into a ridiculous fight.
Yes.
And you're the baby. You're the baby. Cut to that. Larry walks into the kitchen of his house singing and complains that to Cheryl, your little cousin finished all the grape nuts. And how much longer is he going to be there? And he wants to borrow Cheryl's car. And she says, okay, but will you take it to the car wash? And then Cheryl's little cousin, Stuart, enters. And this broke my heart.
I know. It's Anton Yelchin.
Anton Yelchin, who played the part.
Is it Yelchin or Yelkin? I thought it's Yelkin.
Maybe it's pronounced Yelkin. It's a CH. But maybe it's pronounced.
You have your options.
Yeah.
Maybe his family said everyone can pronounce it correctly.
Maybe. But he was a really talented kid. He played Chekhov in the Star Treks and wonderful and
he
free
actually
fucking accent.
Was not just a good actor. The
kid
was
terrific.
Remarkable.
And he was remarkable in this part.
Remarkable in this part. And as people, if you know or don't know, he passed away. Not only was he sweet and a wonderful actor, his mom was sweet too. See, when you work with children, as I've done before, Daddy Daycare, etc., Wizards of Waverly Place, and my other credits. Check out IMDb for the full list of credits, and then you can see children, not children. Anyhow, point being, it has everything to do with the parents when they're on set, because so many of these parents are so overbearing, and they're living their life through their children, that their children grow up to be drug addicts and assholes. And I'm not exaggerating.
Well,
and
we know that. We know that.
Sad.
But Jeff, his parents were professional figure skaters.
Yes,
so they knew
know
about being in the public eye,
yes,
and when they came
his
from the
mother,
Soviet Union.
who was with him, was such a wonderful woman. I remember doing Daddy Daycare. It was the grandma and the mother who came, Elle Fanning, the Fanning family, and those girls have grown up to be remarkable women. I'm just saying. Basically, I'm saying don't let your kids in show business if it's about you. But a narcissist is not going to know that. Let's keep going.
Well, anyway, it broke my heart to see him because he died way too young, and he was so talented. It was a horrible way that he died.
By the way, talented and sweet. That's a double bonus.
Yeah.
And by the way, he hangs with Larry in this. He doesn't give in. He does not give in, which is remarkable. Okay, go ahead.
And he shows Larry a card trick. And it's actually a very good card trick. And Larry says, how'd you do that?
Come on, Stuart, how'd you do the trick?
No. Magicians don't tell people how they do their tricks.
Yeah, well, you're not really a magician.
Oh, yeah, I am.
Well, because you do one trick, that makes you a magician?
Did I trick you?
Were you a magician before you knew how to do that trick?
Not really.
Well, who taught you how to do the trick?
A magician.
Okay, so you weren't a magician.
Mm-hmm.
A magician taught you how to do the trick, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not a magician. Now you're a magician, so you teach me how to do it.
I can't just because you said I am a magician. I can't teach you.
He's like, magicians don't tell. And he's like, if a magician taught you, Larry says, a magician taught you, so you could teach me. Yeah, but you're not a magician. I love that whole run with him.
And then,
you're not a magician.
Well, by the way, the great line is, why did the magician tell you?
Because I'm a magician.
No. Because he knew I was a magician.
Right.
Which is just great.
And the magician can tell I'm a magician and you're not, he says to Larry.
Yeah.
So I just love that.
Yeah.
And Cheryl says, when Larry leaves, Cheryl says to Stuart, her cousin Stuart, Anton, you guys are a lot alike. And he says, yeah, except he's not a magician. I mean, he was just spot on, this kid, everything he said.
Right.
And then you and Larry are going into Mel's office. And Larry asks you if you're going to the Halloween party and if you're wearing a costume. And you say, of course. And he's not going to wear a costume. But of course, you're going to wear a costume. And then before you go into the office, Larry tells Jeff that last night he was, in the bathroom taking care of a few things.
No, Jeff tells Larry.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Jeff tells Larry. And Jenna, Jenna Jameson?
Yeah, at that time, she was the #1 porn star.
Porn star. She was in your head. She pops out. And guess who popped in?
Yeah, Cheryl.
What do you mean, you use...
Yeah, she was there. I couldn't believe it, I just, boom, she was there. You can't control who pops in. She pops in.
She pops in? Well, why did you pop her out?
I tried popping her out. She wouldn't pop out.
Well, she insisted on staying?
Not exactly.
I want to be here with you, Jeff.
I couldn't pop her out. I'm not in control of that. Besides, my bench is kind of thin. I don't really have a lot going on there.
Oh, your bench is thin? Well, what, is she on your team now?
Well, she's not on my team. She popped in.
The hell are you using my wife for?
I thought you'd be flattered.
Flattered? I'm fucking nauseous.
And you can't control who pops in. And, Jeff says, my bench is thin. I didn't have much choice. Larry is not happy about this.
No.
And I don't blame him.
No, but here's what I teased this in an earlier episode where we were seeing the house that Larry used to shoot. We used to shoot in. We filmed this scene before. And
I know.
It was really funny. And I got right to the point. And it was really funny, but too harsh. Larry said, we have to go into this more conversational and softer for this kind of scene. And I was, when he told me that, I was like, oh man, that scene was so funny. And then we redid it, and he always goes, yeah, you see, and of course I see. So this one, it's more of a conversation, and I'm more of an innocent in it. Like, I didn't know,
Well, also, you thought he'd be flattered by it,
which is
hilarious.
Fucking nuts. That's the least. Oh, that was beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. And Larry says, I'm nauseous. And you're like, it didn't really happen. I'll never intentionally use her again. But you are right. You can't control who pops in.
Well, yes, we see that later on. Keep going.
Yes, we do. And Larry's like, next time she pops in, pick up your pants and get out of the room. So they walk into Mel's office. And, I'm just thinking about it, how I would feel if somebody told me I popped into their... I guess it would depend on who it was. How would you feel, Moon?
Well, okay. Moon, how would you feel for this?
Well, I mean, people are using us all the time, whether they tell us or don't tell us, right?
Yeah, but how do you feel about it?
Someone's being used, so at any point, I just can't picture someone using me. I just can't.
Someone is.
By the way, I used to do a joke, and it never worked, but I thought it was really funny. No matter what, somebody somewhere, when I was talking about a show, and maybe it was CNN or something, and I said, no matter what, somewhere someone is masturbating to that show. CNN News, doesn't matter.
Whatever it is,
there's
somewhere in the world.
Yes, so
correct.
Under that, guys, yeah, I guess I popped in a few times.
I used to have a website, which I don't even have, but on my website was a contact thing. This is many, many years ago, and I had to take it down because there was all these men sending me all these S&M things. It's like
which is
they
funny
would get,
for
they
this
would like,
episode.
Exactly,
What
but
do
they
you
would
mean?
send me things like begging me to scream, and who knows what's turned on, who's turned on by what. But they would send me these things.
We also
begging
never
me.
know. We also never know anything we're about to say or think or do. We are always surprising ourselves. We
That's
never know
right.
anything about anything. Forget the jerking
especially
off
with-
part.
The
but-
jerking
but-
off is just the extra special
Well, by
cherry
the
on
way,
the cake.
I want to say, if you know the other person and there's a seduction and an attraction, when you tell the other person that, much more so women telling men that you thought of them, that I know for if someone came up to me and I was attracted to them and they told me that they thought of me, I would have been like, oh, how about, wow.
Yeah, an attractive woman, you would have been flattered.
No, any woman I'd be flattered. What is it to be attractive?
Really?
I'm not a blind man
Well,
who's
I was not
superficial.
flattered that men wanted me to scream
but
and
that
yell
was
and spank
online.
them.
I'm talking about people you know.
Yeah.
That's online crap. Someone sitting in their basement wanting S&M with you, and their
Yeah.
mom's upstairs making egg salad.
But if it is someone you know, then the next time you gather with them, then it is a little ick, right?
Well, no, ick if you feel ick. I imagine that if there's someone that you really dig and they say, by the way, in a non-creepy way.
Yes,
Just
I was just going to say that, Jeff.
It's
It can
all
feel
how you
creepy.
approach it.
Right. If you were a victim to the pop-in and you were victimized by your own subconscious, then
Well,
that's
that's a
one
big
thing.
bullet different. But I would never.
I have
my
no
character
interest.
would never tell Cheryl. Just saying.
But I have no interest in real life in knowing anything about who or what my husband fantasizes about. I don't want to know.
Well, by the way, my girlfriend thinks I don't because she doesn't like it. Me thinking about anyone but her.
Let
And
her
she,
think.
By the way, yes, but now she won't anymore because I've said it.
All right. Well, whatever. It's a
That's
fantasy.
what text scrolling is for.
Text
When
rolling.
you can unlock text scrolling when you unlock someone's phone.
Yeah,
That's
well,
a bad idea.
Well, by the way,
Yeah, unlock
I don't
it.
want to talk
Anytime
about that.
you look at your partner's
it's-
emails or phone,
No,
you're getting
it's-
information you should not have, and it's a
then
bad
it's a complete
idea.
and utter invasion of privacy.
It
But it
is.
shouldn't be, because if there was trust, then you wouldn't need to.
Well,
But exactly,
by the way,
you wouldn't need to.
Yes and no, because even though I don't do stuff like that, sexting or what have you, I would not want anyone reading it. And by
No,
the
because
way,
it's private.
Only Google and the government, right?
oh yeah, Google. Well, actually, I don't use Google. I use Perplexity because it eliminates. There's no tracking. Like you look up, what's the best way to make porridge? Just saying. And it's an AI thing, but it'll give you all the information and then at the bottom, all the sources so you can see what's real and not
What is that,
real.
Perplexity?
Perplexity, it's an app.
We'll
And-
discuss it after. I want to find
but
out
I
about
mean,
the...
people. I remember. I just want to go back in time. So I'm in New York, and a friend of mine tells me I need to get somewhere. He goes, "Have you tried Uber?" And I was like, "Uber? What's that?" And he goes, "Don't tell anyone." And I was using Uber like where it was a new thing. And I remember being on stage at Caroline's in New York talking about Uber. 9/10 of the audience had no idea what I was talking about. So what I'm basically saying is I'm ahead of my time.
Oh, you are an innovator, baby.
Okay. But Perplexity, I recommend it, and I don't think it'll affect my usage if people use it.
I hope that we have enough listeners that it makes a difference.
No, I don't want it to make
We'll
a
see.
difference. I want them to enjoy it, but if it screws me, I don't want it to make a difference.
So we walk in, you and Larry walk into Mel's office, and Joanne, played by Rachel Harris, is there, not happy to see you. She doesn't like either
No,
of you.
but hold on. I've always avoided her. I go sit down, I say hello, here to see Mel. At this episode, Larry thought it'd be good if I got the shit to establish that it's not just him.
Right. So you go into
Moon,
the room.
by the way, I go on a lot of tangents on this show.
And I ignore them, Moon.
Yeah, and by the way,
you go into
she
the room.
ignores them, and sometimes we fight because she ignores them, because sometimes I actually think they're interesting. The last one, who knows? But we cut nothing for our poor
You go
listeners.
into the room, and there's Mel and Norm and Rudy, and Mel asks any complaints, and Larry says he's not happy with the toilet paper in the rehearsal hall.
Which, by the way, brilliant. I went to someone's house one time, and I do this. I used to bring Pop-Tarts and toilet paper to a party as like a house. Like, here, I brought something, and people are always really happy about that. Pop-Tarts are delicious. Who doesn't need toilet paper? I did it as a joke the last time I did it, and I didn't check the toilet paper. I bring it, and a relative of this person looks at me and goes, "It's single ply." And he was being dead serious. And I'm like, what? I don't like single ply, but...
I do.
Do you really?
I prefer Scott tissue single ply.
Oh, I've never met anyone who prefers single ply.
No,
I don't like
to save the planet, or you like the texture?
I'm used to it. It's one of those things. It's what I'm used to. It's what I grew up with. That's what I'm used to.
By the way, I buy recycled paper, toilet paper, which is just as soft, but it might be 2 or 3. I know it's at least 2 ply, if not 3 ply, and so I'm upset with you. Keep going.
Okay. So apparently...
I use banned books.
You use banned books. That is beautiful. So you shit a lot in Florida?
Mel tells Larry that Ben gave him an ultimatum and said either Larry or me. And Mel picked Larry, and Ben is out. Ben Stiller is out of the producers. Mel picked Larry, and... Norm starts going off. You couldn't sit in the front of the... Norm and Rudy do a tag team on Larry on this. You couldn't sit in the front of the car. You didn't bring a gift to the party. They go on. You didn't shake hands. You wouldn't sing the birthday song.
It's really funny that Ben would tell them this is the reason.
Every little detail. The skewer. Well, the skewer was major because of his eye.
Yeah.
And Larry says, you know what? It was a blessing in disguise. And Mel says, how about David Schwimmer? Okay, maybe. Possibility.
Uh-huh.
And then you guys leave, and Norm says to him, you're making a terrible mistake. He's mentally challenged. That made me laugh.
Yeah,
mentally
that is really
challenged.
Funny.
And
but
Mel
isn't
says,
it funny? Go ahead.
Mel says, there's something about this middle-aged bald guy that is thrilling.
Well, by the way, that's what I was just about to comment on. Mel's undying belief in Larry David for this role. And by the way,
we find out why.
Yeah, because he's great.
Yeah.
But also, a piece of trivia that I'll give now because I don't know that I'll remember it. Larry was so good that he was offered to really do it.
Yes.
That's how good Larry was in portraying it, because he's perfect to be Max Bialystock. And no, he was actually offered, and, I guess he didn't want to do it. I know he didn't want to do it. Not because it wasn't good. I think he was just, the thought of it was overwhelming.
Well, also he did a straight play 8 shows a week, and that was brutal. To do a musical 8 shows a week, oh my God.
Do you know what
that
I was?
Exhausting.
Do you know they put out feelers for me for Hairspray?
Oh, yeah?
And not only did I not want to do it, I love the show, but not only did I not want to do it, part of it, you had to shave your eyebrows. And I'm sorry, I'll shave my head for a part. No eyebrows. I'm sorry, eyebrows have to stay.
All right, well, you have your standards, Jeff. And
by the way,
are what?
I don't, but the idea of me walking on the street during the day without eyebrows or penciling them in, no thank you.
That was Mrs. Berkowitz, my kindergarten teacher. I remember that about her. She had her eyebrows were gone, and there was thick brown pencil. And it struck, I remembered it from when I was 5 years old.
It's a clown look. It's very scary.
So now Larry takes the car. He sees guys in the street holding up signs for a car wash. Cheryl had asked him to wash the car. And $10. And these guys are clearly mentally challenged. What are you supposed to say?
Mentally challenged.
Mentally, is that the correct
form? At least I believe so. It changes all the time.
Changes all the time.
What we did here that was a mistake was we cast 2 people who are not mentally challenged.
Yes, Judah Friedlander.
Yeah.
And why do you think it was a mistake, Jeff?
Because that's not right. You don't want someone. Now, look, I'm not saying the Elephant Man or My Left Foot. You have to hire somebody who has.
Or Dustin Hoffman in Rain Man.
Dustin Hoffman and Rain Man. That's a different kind of thing. For this, it should have been all mentally challenged people. And I love
you know what? I think it worked.
Well, yes, it worked, but I'm saying, and it's not you can't do this today. I just think, and we're usually good. Like I mentioned, 2 people who were in wheelchairs. We had people who were really in wheelchairs. But this, and by the way, when you see the scene in Cantor's later, the people who are actually mentally challenged do a great job with dialogue. So I'm just saying,
terrific.
And it's improvised. So I forgot the reasoning why we did it, but
so the car wash is a complete fiasco. We see it's just a nightmare, and it's all finished. And Larry's driving, and all of a sudden he runs out of gas, and he calls Cheryl. You left the car, no gas in the car. And my sunblock is missing.
Notice that the sunblock? He notices it before
my
gas.
sunblock is missing, and I have to pee. He has to pee really bad, so he goes. He goes to a tree, but then a woman walks out the door, so he stops, and then he's knocking on door after door, and people are shutting the doors in his face and just saying no and no, and it's about 5 or 6 of them.
I beg you. I'd like to make an offer on your house. $10 for a pee.
And finally, well, go ahead, Jeff, sorry.
Look, I know we're getting the moon right now, but I want to say something. This is something I fought against, because when you have to pee bad, you can't go to a half dozen houses. You go to 1 or 2, and then you're taking your chance in some bush somewhere. That to me, I know that's not what Larry would do. I mean, he would. It's a tough thing, but I always wanted to get to Moon quicker because I hate unrealistic shit, even for the purpose of comedy, if it's that blatantly unrealistic. And what would have been bad about him having to pee, going to 1 or 2 houses, and the people's reactions were not that funny, and then going to 1 or 2 houses and then be at Moon's, and all right, let's get to Moon.
I disagree because I think it heightened it and it didn't bother me at all. But then he comes, knocks on a door.
Well, by the way, disagree to disagree.
Yeah. Then he knocks on a door.
Disagree to disagree. Okay.
And a woman answers in a burka with the most gorgeous hazel eyes I've ever seen, which are really pronounced because that's all you see.
Oh, my God.
May I help you?
My car is out of gas, and I'm just desperate to use the bathroom.
Come in. Please come in. Be my invited guest. Come in.
You're kidding.
Please come in. Please do come in.
Oh, my God.
And she's, come in. That accent was so beautiful, Boone. Did you base it on anything?
Did you base it on anything?
No, it just popped out being
just
in that
made it
outfit.
Up.
Yeah.
And did the sweetness come for you? Did we tell you to be sweet, or did that just come out of your character? Was that an adjustment or no?
I think he was asking me to be friendly. And by the way, do you talk about the importance of just a philosophy of yes and is possibly the most important thing we should all adopt?
But by the way,
in improv, in improv, yes and
really
is
did it, and which made him so happy. But it was also such a beautiful surprise. And, I believed it completely. See, that I believed that she would invite him in, that she was trusting. Yeah, it was just it was actually joyful and fun to watch.
And so delighted to have him. And then he needs gasoline. My wife left it empty. And then I love that moment. Oh, you are married. That's a disappointment. I thought I had finally met someone. You thought he was your soulmate that just knocked on the door. It was so sweet.
But the way she said, oh, you're married, that is such a disappointment, was just so blatant and beautiful at the same time.
Yeah, and there was a sweetness to you that was that
was the thing that
very
I
infectious.
Picked up watching this was her character's kindness and sweetness, and agreeability, just the whole thing was pretty great. And by the way, may I also say for our listeners, yes, I'm get excited with Moon. It's not because she's here. If she wasn't here, I'd be just as excited. So it's not like I don't stick my head up anybody's ass. It wouldn't fit, number one. And number two, I like being honest. I just said I didn't like the knocking on the doors. So what I want to say is Moon was that great. All right, let's go.
She was terrific. Okay. And Larry says to her, well, we're very superficial people. We like to know what women look like. So it's going to be tough for you to meet somebody. And then he gets an idea. You see the light bulb go off.
Yes.
And he says, I think I got a guy for you. And it's a literal blind date, as you say.
Yeah.
And next, you go to Cantor's. For the date? No, you go to Cantor's with Larry.
She's
you haven't had the blind date yet. Yeah. You're driving him to get gasoline. And then you're hungry. He says, you want deli?
Yeah, he says, do you want to go to lunch? And she's, yes, that'd be lovely. Do you like deli? Sure, I love deli. Explore and heighten. Look what you're doing.
And the car wash guys are there at a table eating. And he says, how did you do today? And he asks them if they've seen his sunblock on the passenger seat.
Hello. Remember me?
Yeah, the guy with the really clean car.
Yeah.
The blue car?
Yeah, you guys did quite a good job on that car. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
No problem. We have fun cleaning it.
Yeah.
How'd you do today?
Good.
Pretty good.
Yeah?
Uh-huh. We did good today.
You did? How much money did you make?
We made $100. We had 10 cars.
Wow. Pretty good. Congratulations.
That's good.
Good. Hey, guys, let me ask you a question. Did you happen to see any sunblock on the passenger seat in my car?
I don't know. I didn't see any.
You didn't see any?
Never saw any sunblock at all.
Is that right?
No.
Don't you get a feeling, by the way, in the way that they reply
that they're lying,
that they kept the money?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh,
what do you mean they kept the money?
In other words, when he asked them, the look on their faces was very mischievous, like they were keeping a secret.
Well, because but it was about the sunblock. The secret was about the sunblock.
No. I'm saying when he said, how did you do today? And the last guy says $100, but they were playing it with smirks on their face, and they were trying to hold in laughter, which Larry didn't notice, and obviously you didn't notice. Keep going.
Well, I did. I thought it was about the sunblock.
No,
because they were like, we know nothing about the sunblock.
They did that after that.
And well, then I didn't notice that. And then Larry and Habu sit with them, and Larry says, "Weren't there four of you?" And then Judah Friedlander shows up with the sunblock all over their face.
Hold on. At first, they say it was just the three of them. And then they say, yeah, there was a fourth.
Well, they were lying. Yeah.
Yes. No, I know that. But there was a buildup to Judah showing up with it all over his face.
Or sunblock all over his face.
I've known Judah for years. We performed together many, many times. I was so happy that he did the show, albeit against what I thought was right.
And then they said, we lied, and they laugh, and giggle. It's just a delightful scene.
Yeah.
And then Larry they're passing food, and he drops food on the burka, on Habus's burka. And Larry says, I'm going to go get this cleaned. And then Larry tells a joke. They're all laughing. And while this is all, everybody's hysterical. She goes, no. And then he insists on it. We see the whole interaction.
What was great about this and thoughtful was he didn't touch her. Because that would have been terrible.
Right.
Keep going. All right.
And they're all laughing, yucking it up. And Norm and Rudy walk in and see all this. And
it's quite the visual. If I'm sitting at a table nearby, I'm inherently curious on that one. Like, what's going on there?
How did you? How was doing that scene, Moon?
Yeah, I mean, I just. First of all, I just mostly remember Larry humming. He was like a weird radio station in between the takes. So
he whistles.
By the way, later years he would sing.
Yeah,
he went from humming to singing.
Okay, all right. Well, and then just you as a professional, you just try to stay in character and just see how the character would feel about the circumstance, and then and if you're, I would imagine that if that's normal to you, then you're just used to.
She must have been fun to play.
Really fun. Yeah.
I could see that. I could see you having a good time. In your eyes is the only place I saw it.
But by the way,
it's freedom. But my dream jobs are where you don't have to wear makeup. So
where you don't have to wear makeup or memorize lines.
By the way, I would go with Sans costume if it wasn't most of the time a suit, although I do wear suits. I did a Steven Soderbergh movie called Full Frontal, and you wore your own clothes and did your own makeup. No kidding. That I loved. That was like, I didn't know how to thank him for that. That was a gift. To
me, the wardrobe, I don't care. Well, I love my wardrobe. Yeah, on Curb, I love my wardrobe.
Your wardrobe is another story. That's actually a story on its own.
But the not having to learn lines to me is the highlight.
So relaxing, so delightful. God. I mean, holy moly. And then, by the way, Moon's character, who wouldn't love a friend like that? Who just is
she's
game.
So lovely.
No, but game. Game to do anything.
Yes.
Let's go to a pottery shop. Let's go make dreidels. Let's go buy as many raisins as we can. These are things I might like to do.
It's surprising she doesn't have a guy. She's such a great gal.
Yeah. By the way, yeah. Yeah. All right.
Next, we're at Michael's, and Larry is telling him about Habus. And Michael is like, "You've leveled the playing field."
Yeah, that's a great line.
Leveled the playing. No one knows what she looks like. Everyone is blind now, Larry says. And but Larry says, "I do have to go with you to chaperone," which, of course, because she's Muslim and very strict, and it has to be done. So next, we are back at Larry's house. And Stuart is doing card tricks in his bedroom in his Superman costume. It's Halloween.
No, it's not Superman costume. It's Halloween. You're right. I thought it was Superman pajamas.
No. It was a costume. And Larry's trying to guess the trick, and he demands to know. And Stuart is just like, "You're not a magician." He's just so matter of fact and nonplussed. You're not a magician, that's it.
But what's beautiful about this with the trick and everything, Larry's getting furious at this kid. Like really...
One trick is not a magician, he says to him.
It's not enough.
He tells him, "When you come back with the Halloween candy, I'm taking half of it."
Okay.
That's like a real, nasty thing.
But by the way, Anton at no point laughed. Larry's hilarious. And Anton, even at that age, so focused.
What was he then? He was probably about 12 or something.
Yeah,
I would think.
Yeah. I remember, by the way, sitting with he and his mom at a rap party. Mm-hmm. They were just delightful. I mean, really. Mother. Yeah.
And then from the background, Cheryl calls, "Larry!" And then Cheryl is in her costume. She's in a I Dream of Jeannie costume, looking very fetching and hot.
Look at this.
Happy Halloween. What do you think?
Oh, my God.
Huh?
Doesn't she look great?
Is this great?
Look at Andy Devine over here.
Yes, I am, Sheriff.
Now you look hot.
Thank you, Susie.
What are you wearing? What is this? No outfit? No costume?
She could wear a burlap bag and look fetching and hot.
And then Jeff and I walk in. Jeff is dressed in a cowboy Andy Devine look, and I am in full dominatrix garb. And I'll tell you something funny about that day that I recall. And I was wearing these spike heels, and I couldn't walk. I had to basically be carried and placed down because they were like these thigh-high patent leather boots.
By the way, when I saw
you, spike heels.
I don't remember if you remember when I saw you, I couldn't function. I was laughing.
It was quite the outfit.
Yeah.
But what I remember most about that is the crew, guys, were so solicitous to me when I was in that outfit. It was like they completely changed. They were like, "Susie, can I get you anything?" And I was like one of them. I had been working with them all these years. I was like one of them. They were like my brothers. And all of a sudden, I'm in this black patent leather with a whip. I had a whip.
And by the way, what else did you have? A ponytail.
I had a ponytail dominatrix outfit, and they were all like, "Susie, do you need anything?" They was like how men are so visually oriented and can so be completely change on a dime by a visual. It
let me
is
also tell
to
you,
me.
Audio-wise, change on a dime. All we need to hear is someone who might be having sex. Someone whose foot aches
Probably.
and they're going, oh, my foot. Even that, like, are they having sex? No, it's both. Men just react.
It's ridiculous. I'm
Yes.
telling you, it was so noticeable that I'm in a dominatrix outfit, and
I
all these
never
guys
knew
that I
this,
saw
by the
every
way.
day are
I never
suddenly
knew
up
this.
my ass. Oh,
No,
yeah.
I never knew this. And by the way, may I, knowing that crew, I'm actually surprised.
I recall
More
that it was like,
decorum.
wow, look at this.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jeff kind of very surreptitiously looks at Cheryl's boobs, because she's wearing something
And then
very
right
low cut.
away, there's
Larry
a click
notices
in Larry.
it. He's like, all right, that's it. You're changing. He tells her to change. And he brings out Habus's burka, which he had it's in the dry cleaning thing,
Yeah.
with the plastic. And just back for the dry cleaners, you're going as an Islamic fundamentalist. And then 4 of us are in the car. And the fact that it's not realistic to me that Cheryl actually listened to him, but whatever. It was for a purpose. The 4 of us are in the car, Larry and Cheryl in the back, and these kids, what did he say? Hey, Osama, or something like this obnoxious kid throws
Go-
an egg at
go
Cheryl
back
in the
to your
burqa, which
country,
she
I
ducks,
believe.
and it goes to into Larry's face.
It's hot in this thing.
What the fuck? Hey, Osama, go back to your own fucking country.
Now, I want to give a little background on that.
Okay.
That night, Larry was really sick. I mean,
We shot that at like 6 o'clock in the morning, if I recall,
in
Jeff.
Brentwood, yes,
yeah,
on San Vicente.
That car at San Vicente, I remember
Okay,
it.
but hold on, though. Larry's up all night, and he's sick as a dog. He's really sick.
Yeah.
And, he usually contains that. No one knows. We knew he was sick. He was a cold sweat, the whole thing. And the egg thing didn't work. It missed. It hit the wrong place.
I remember.
He had to have done, and I'm not exaggerating, probably 8-9 times getting the egg thrown at his face. And only,
That was horrible.
And you always had to get one for safety. So once it hit, we had to keep trying for it to hit. And it wasn't the kid throwing it. That was just, there was no car on the other side, obviously. But I forgot who was, maybe Dort, I don't know who it was, tossing it into his face from a very short distance.
Yeah.
One after another. And Larry feeling the way he did, wow.
And also, even if you're feeling well, who wants raw egg on their face? It's a salmonella nightmare. Who
Well, if
wants
you're
that
eating
on
it-
you?
Well, by the way, don't forget Rocky put a raw egg in his drink, and he did
Yes.
pretty good.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I'm not from the raw egg people.
By the way, can I tell you, I would have bet everything I own that you're not part of the raw egg people.
No, not me, my paranoid self.
Okay.
So the kid throws the egg on Larry. Next, we cut to Michael and Larry are at Habus's front door. The blind date is happening, and it's raining, and Larry has an umbrella, and Habus answers the door in her ebullient, is that the word, ebullient? And so, oh, you're beautiful to Michael, and date with 2 handsome men, and she's so excited. And what shall we do? Shall we take a walk? And, she's thinking of things to do. And Larry says, well, you could walk because I have an umbrella. And he goes to open the umbrella, and he pulls off her burqa somehow with the point of the umbrella.
You know what? I got an umbrella. If you want to take a walk, we could take a walk. That's
Yes, it's
fine.
like Daredevil. You're like Daredevil.
Oh, can you get this thing?
Oh!
What?
My veil!
And you see Larry's face. He's just disgusted.
But she's also
at what this woman-
horrified at the exact same time.
Of course, she's horrified.
Which was great.
And this really bothered me.
What do you mean?
It really bothered me that they were so judgmental of her looks.
But by the way, if I may, that wasn't necessary. Do you know what I mean?
Wasn't necessary?
Well, the blind man obviously can't be, but Larry being so judgmental, although
like-
maybe that was showing that even Larry is shallow in that situation. But Moon, when it
Who
came
the fuck
off,
are these 2 guys to be so goddamn judgmental?
hold on.
Like it's Brad Pitt and Paul Newman standing there?
Well, by the way, that's the joke. But Moon, in that moment, because I was standing behind Moon watching, and I was standing behind Larry when we did both sides. But the noises that she made and when she was upset were hilarious.
How did you feel about that, Moon?
I mean, you know, if you're playing somebody who's ugly and wants to be accepted as they are, and it's you know, I think that's always an interesting circumstance. I mean, you know, beauty really is in the eye of the beholder, right. and it's just a funny setup that, you know, like you said, if somebody's blind, why does it matter? But that he's
didn't the umbrella hit you on one or two takes?
I don't remember.
I remember that. Because
you know, it's almost as though Larry's reaction was almost as though you were deformed or something.
Yeah, that's how I took it too.
You know what I mean? Like it was so
that
extreme that you were disfigured, and he was you know, shocked and appalled by that.
Yeah. That's how I took it too. That I was undateable.
Ultimately. Even for a blind man. All right. Then we're back at Larry's house, and Stuart is showing Judah Friedlander, who's at Larry's house, the trick. And Judah figures out the trick. So this mentally impaired person figured out the trick that Larry couldn't figure. And Judah says anyone could figure that out.
Well, by the way, here's another thing for Judah's performance. And he did look mentally challenged, but part of it is you know, putting the tongue, and you can see his tongue pushing out his bottom lip. And it was just, you know, he was in character, that was for sure. But yeah, that was really funny.
And then we see Larry in the bathroom. And somebody's asked where Larry is.
Hold on,
where's Larry?
Is? Where's Larry?
Where's Larry?
Yes.
Cheryl says, I don't know, I think he's in the bathroom. We see Larry in the bathroom fantasizing. He's walking backstage in the theater. Katie Huffman comes out in some feathery kind of a thing and calls him into her dressing room. Pink feathers.
I'd like to give you your 10th anniversary present.
What are you doing?
Who invited you? Get the hell out of here.
Look at you. You sick.
Where's the other one? I want the other one. Get out.
I'm the only one here, baby. And now for the rest of your life, you sick, four-eyed pervert fuck, you're gonna be fantasizing about me in this outfit.
And then, you know, you feel like the seduction is going to happen. And then all of a sudden, who pops in?
In your outfit, by the way.
In my dominatrix outfit.
Yes.
And Larry's, where's the other one? Where's the other one? I want the other one. And I was like, you got me, baby.
Yeah, you went nuts. It was awesome.
It was so much fun. That was such a fun scene to do. And it was just so much fun. And that was it. That was it. And that was the sad story of Habus and Michael, that they could have been a lovely couple. But you know what? I think he wasn't good enough for Habus.
Well, of course he wasn't. Michael's a jerk.
Michael's a superficial asshole.
A shallow blind man. Who writes that?
It is
Larry
interesting,
David.
though, because it's true that, you know, what you said in the beginning of the podcast, that you guys got in on the ground floor with the freedom to be inappropriate, and that in fact it's you know, that's what the show is. It's that tension.
All right,
relief.
imagine an NBC show where one of the characters criticizes, rightly, mind you, a blind person. The letters.
That's what I'm saying.
To my knowledge, we don't get letters. Do you know the only show that we got some pushback on is when Larry pees on the Jesus in the bathroom?
He doesn't pee on the Jesus.
No, it bounces.
Splashes.
Yeah. But we got complaints on that one.
That was the only one that I recall also.
Yeah. But most people love it.
But looking back in this way, it is interesting to. It is like analyzing a dream when you think about it, because when you improvise a show and then you reflect on it as though it was intentional, because it's you're reflecting on improvised moments, and so it's just an interesting, weird exercise in considering now it makes me think of how composers must have played music before there were recording devices. There's no way to capture it. But you play the music in real time in a forward linear way, and only the audience is like, what was that? And then you can't hear it back as the composer or as the audience. But so that we've advanced to be able to look at this stuff.
That's what this whole exercise of doing this podcast has been for us, Moon. We're looking back. But also just that there's all these, just the talking about the psychological parts of it and the surprises about how you arrive at something.
By the way, originally cast in that role was Bette Midler, and she quit same day. Then Ben Vereen came in, then it was Susie.
Huh. Is that true?
That's
no.
What do you mean? Is that true? Bette Midler,
I don't know.
Bette Midler, Ben Vereen.
Those are weird choices, but what do I know what people like and what they
No, it was always me from day one. No one else was ever cast.
And why? And how did you both get the jobs? Did you both audition?
No,
for this.
Neither of us auditioned. We both knew Larry. Jeff's was
the show. Mine's different because I came up with the idea for the show. And I approached Larry, and it's always good to tell a genius your idea. And the show turned into what it did. And by the way, if I was left to my own devices, even though they told me I could make a show, like I got the green light on my own, failure from the get-go. I told the genius, and now here we are.
And Larry just called me up one day and offered me the part.
Yes, because we talked about this. He'd seen her on the roast of Jerry Stiller.
But he had known me for years. I knew him for years.
We all knew each other.
We were all stand-ups back in the old days in New York at Catch a Rising Star. So yeah. But that's how we got our jobs. And that was
neither one of us had to audition. And, and Cheryl had to audition, which we discussed last episode of the one before. JB had to audition.
Yeah.
Ted didn't have to audition.
Well, he's Ted Danson. I would hope.
Well, by the way, just in life, whatever he does, you just go, well, he's Ted Danson. He can
We're
do
going to
that.
discuss it coming up in the next episode. We have another guest star. And I'll tell you something, going through these episodes, and there's a lot of people who died over all these years. It's horrible.
By the way, what are you talking about? I know Bob Einstein and Anton. Hopefully they're hanging out.
And a bunch of others. But anyway, we're going to get to him next episode.
Death count? What are you doing? The show's about positivity.
Yes, positive. But death is not negative. Death is reality.
Yeah, we don't need
reality. That's not negative.
Susie.
And everyone lives on in
exactly.
the
and by
the
the way,
shows.
everyone's going to die. But let's deal with more pleasant things, Susie. Don't
we
turn this podcast
having you,
around.
Moon. We loved having you with us. And
a delight.
I once more admired your performance, which I think was a tour de force in that. And I think, it's also an exercise for an actress to not use their face. You could only use your voice and your eyes. So that was another, trick, is so to speak, that was working for you.
But also, what a thing to come up with. Because I have to say, if I'm playing somebody who has to wear a mask, what voice do I use? How do I play this? It's a very difficult, I always say I'm a comedian who acts. So have low expectations, but I'm a decent actor, but I'm a comedian who acts. And Moon, I would say, is a writer-performer who acts. Am I correct?
That's true. Yeah. And I was surprised by how many people really loved the performance and it stood out for them.
It was terrific.
That was, thanks so much for having me.
It really was. Thank you for coming.
And thank you for adding positivity and not discussing death.
It's not. I have no problem. I don't find death negative. I find it a reality of life.
No, it's not a matter if it's negative, but it doesn't need to be brought up. It's a Curb Your Enthusiasm podcast.
Well,
let's not talk about people who died.
Yeah, all right.
Doesn't he talk about death in a bunch of episodes?
Oh, so many.
Well, there's always
so many.
By the way, the number of times, and there's no exaggeration, I think 3 times we have filmed in a cemetery in the middle of the night. And I always walk around singing Thriller. I do.
Thank you for coming, Moon. And audience, we will see you next week.
And
Bye.
I promise you next week there'll be no death talk by Susie.
Oh, there will be.
Oh, you don't? Then who's going to tune in? I love a good
So
death
people
talk.
get comfortable with death, yeah.
Well, next week is one of our favorite people who is no longer with us, so we'll get to that.
Oh, all right.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.